Alrighty, so it is time for the post Spider-Man 2 launch extravaganza with the criticism sucks of a lifetime. We finally are getting into this after all this time. It's been quite a ride, and I'm gonna try to knock this off point for point and immediately get right into it. I have like about 44 hours in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and let's get right into it. The first thing is talking about MJ's face, because this seems to be the biggest topic of contention by far. We gotta talk Sony. This is a video game based on an iconic superhero. Every single woman in that game besides Aunt May should be grade A fat material. Anything less and you failed. This is obviously referring to the fact that a lot of people find Mary Jane to be unattractive in this game, thinking she has jowls and everything, and she does have like jowls, and they believe that the character model is worse, the character is worse overall, and it's just a giant catastrophe to them. And in my opinion, after playing the game, I can honestly say the MJ model looks decent. It looks fine for the most part, right? What people like to do is take the ugly crier situation where they take a bad position, or they just decide to say, hey, realism is bad, even though everyone in real life looks different. Everyone has different facial features, micro facial features that are captured and screenshotted, and in motion this model is pretty decent. It didn't really bother me that much, and I knew that it would be much better looking animated than what a couple of screen caps or renders would tell us. So and people say, oh, every character should be grade A fat material. Honestly, why can't people in a video game centered around realism just look like normal people? Normal average Joes. I mean, even Harry Osborn, looks like a normal person you probably see walking around in Queens. Why can't those people just look like normal individuals that you would see? In their range of attractiveness, does vary from person to person. I would say attractiveness and beauty is within the eye of the beholder. That's always something that's going to be mostly talked about, always subjective, no matter what, right? But does it actually break the immersion of the game to see a real person fleshed out and all this other stuff? No, it doesn't. If you're going to go for more realism, I expect people to look like normal average people, and you can see Japan with Dead Rising, they took Frank West, that looks like an average ugly American, put him in the game. Nobody complained about him being the pinnacle of attraction. They knew this is what the character was going for. Still a great character. MJ is definitely a step up in this game compared to the first one, and I hated MJ in the first game. I hated her missions, all of that. I couldn't stand Mary Jane because she would not take Spider-Man's advice into account, and you can see why she's a better character with, let me see if I can find that tweet as this thing bugs out. This tweet right here, where she decides to take a hit for Peter Parker when Venom is in the kitchen and he's transforming, he's angry, and she jumps in the way to protect Peter Parker. And she's more noble, more caring in this game to Peter and his plight of the symbiote, and he's just being an asshole. Did you see the 19 inches of Venom thing at the bottom, which is pretty funny? However, that being said, it's like, oh, why did she take a hit for him? Because she loves him, she cares about him, and I think that more loving and generous attitude is conveyed a little bit more in this game compared to the original, where she's like more rebellious, more on her own. And to her credit, it didn't really pay off for me as a characterization of that game. I understand, not wanting to be baby, but you gotta understand how dangerous these situations are with all of these people around with guns and machine guns, knives, machetes, all of that stuff, right? You gotta understand the level of severity there. So once again, there's a reason why she's doing this, and I think that's pretty humble for the character this time around. Then we go back to the face. So we have this argument where people are trying to witch hunt this intern writer and say, She was the self-insert for Mary Jane in Marvel Spider-Man 2 because she views for inclusivity. Now, I'm not going to deny that self-inserts don't exist in media, and writers don't try to add their flavor and characteristics and personality into these characters in mainstream or some fan fiction or wherever the fuck, right? We do see it, but there is a chance where people do over exaggerate, grab at short straws. And I want to get her statement here. She said, while incredibly flattered that people think I look like Mary Jane's facial model in Marvel Spider-Man 2, I was just a wee writer intern who worked remotely. No facial scans to report. Thank you for the laughs nonetheless. You can't say you people don't like witch hunting and doing this all the time, and there's previous examples of this behavior. This happened with Marvel Spider-Man 1. You were witch hunting and saying that Sam Maggs, someone who said they were sexually assaulted in GTA 5, you said she was the facial model for Black Cat in Marvel Spider-Man, and that turned out to be false and incorrect. What happened was eventually Erica Lembeck came out and said she was the model, she was the person behind it, and all of this was a bunch of hullabaloo. It's like the boy that cried wolf. What fucking makes you think that I'm gonna believe you after the first time? What makes you think I'm gonna believe you the second time when you're doing the same scenario once again with no irrefutable evidence? Again, Insomniac offers people to either work at home or work in the office. You got to be in the office to do facial scanning. If she is an intern writer, why in the ever loving name of Christ would they ever need her from home to come into the building and do facial scans when she could just write a story or add in excerpts over a confidential conversation and they could send it through some random messenger? What do you need her for exactly? What makes her override senior writers within Marvel Spider-Man 2 just to insert her face? It don't make sense when you really put it all together. And like I said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You guys did this before. You did it before and it fucking failed. And the person came out, the real person came out and debunked every single one of you when you assumed it the first time. What makes you think I'm gonna believe you the second time? It's bullshit. What folks like to do is grab at short straws and say everyone is self-asserting now. Everyone is putting themselves in there now because of their bio or the way they govern themselves with their politics. And it's not true in every fucking case. You guys said this about Druckmann as well, with him being Manny and erroneously saying that Manny is the one that had sex with Abby even though it was Owen, and saying that Druckmann wanted to fulfill some fetish where he doesn't even have sex with the character if it was him, and he got shot in the eye as one of Abby's friends, which shows that you clearly did not have any sense of cohesion with what actually happened in The Last of Us Part 2. Apparently this guy is basically, I can't really pronounce his name, I'm just gonna try to say it. Alejandro Eda? I know I butchered that, but it's Mr. Eda here. We're just gonna call him Mr. Eda. Mr. Eda is the one that was based on Manny, and you could tell that their facial features are nothing alike. He looks a lot more like Latino, and Druckmann is not. So I have the same man bun, but not the same facial features. I think you gotta get it right on how they introduce these characters and facial scanning, and look closely next time when you decide to point the fucking finger. Next up this time around, let's see. So we got a few. This one's very stupid about Black Cat also being bisexual because she has a girlfriend in Paris with Marvel Spider-Man 2. I think people need to understand and read more comics that Black Cat was bisexual for the longest time. She even had a vision in the comics where it was her previous lovers. It was Peter Parker, a bunch of other people. It was males and females. It was two females in that image when her head was dove into. She's been bisexual since 2006. When did Marvel Spider-Man come out, or the heist specifically? What, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there, right? This has been happening for a while now. Are we going to retroactively go back to those comics and say, oh, there's some kind of agenda going on, when it's happened since 2006 and it's core to the character's orientation and what she likes? She was with Spider-Man. And another thing I hate too is people said that Peter fumbled the bag with Black Cat and he didn't go with her, and instead he went with Mary Jane. How about actually having a stable relationship with someone you actually fucking love? Because Black Cat lied to this man about having a fake son, and he was going bonkers and crazy thinking that the baby was his. What kind of woman would do that? I'm pretty sure, rationally speaking, if you were in this situation, you would say she's a demon, right? You got lied to. You got lied to, and you were doing the biddings, and you thought you had a son with her, but it turns out it was a load of bullshit. If a woman lies to you that badly, I don't think that's part of a stable, ideal, monogamous relationship. And if you accept that, you have problems. Okay, I just think you have problems. All right. So we have this quote from Brian Ithahar about making MJ way too overpowered. So we're cycling back to this character, and essentially speaking, right, there are people that have not liked these segments. I am one of them. From the first Spider-Man game, I thought the MJ segments were horrible. This is me. I'm straight up telling you, it's in my review. I thought those sections were horrible. I actually thought they were the worst sections of the game until the end segment where you get her taser, right? And I told people this. I said it time in and time out. I do not like these portions of the game at all. This is coming from me. It seems what they tried to do is take the actual feedback and make them better. And they said we had two choices. We could either say, all right, we'll make it easy and just not do it, and everyone would go, great, no MJ missions. Or we could say, hey, we talked about showing the world from all different angles. We're going to make her moments better. We're going to take on the challenge. We're going to make people like playing as her. We pick and choose our spots. We knew we had to make her more of a proactive, capable person. And if she's a little OP, I don't give a shit. She's fine. I don't care. All right. The last bit is very laden with brass balls. It's a very bold statement. You could say, if this fails, this guy's statement is full of crap, right? From my personal experience of doing these missions and seeing the set pieces of the new, it feels like a survival horror segment with the symbiote Peter going after MJ, and it being a lot more extravagant, built into the story with the plight of the symbiote suit, going after symbiotes in a giant hive and just shooting them. And I know it's absolutely insane. I had to suspend my disbelief like twice. One moment in the symbiote hive, and the second one was when MJ got shot in the shoulder with a tranq and somehow took a guy out. That was the only time I suspended disbelief. Outside of that, their mission of making these MJ segments a lot more larger than life and actually fun is a success, in my opinion. I found them to be a lot more fun than the previous iteration of the game. Is she overpowered? Well, outside of those like two segments, they actually have lore reasons why MJ knows hand-to-hand combat. Basically, I don't know if people were paying attention, but they said in Symkaria, MJ was taught some hand-to-hand techniques by Silver Sable. After she was doing some investigative war journalism, they referenced this in the game. That's how she knows Symkarian language, due to her experience from being there in like a year. People seem to neglect that. So when she's doing like low kicks and she's doing the John Wick shit and she's kicking people in the shins and she's tasering them, number one, it makes sense from her perspective because she has hand-to-hand combat, and we've seen Silver Sable beat up Spider-Man a little bit. Even if he was trying to reason with her, she still was kicking him through doors and shit like that. We saw that in the last game. She knows a little bit of the lingo, a little bit of the fisticuffs, right? We know that. It is not abnormal to run up behind someone unaware, even if they are a hunter, fucking kick them in the shin and hit them with like 1,000 volts of electricity to the neck, and they just are incapacitated. It's no craven hunter is really going to get up from that if he's hit on target. So that part was not the most unrealistic thing I've seen in the game outside of the Trank and the symbiotes just running around. It's like a whole fucking Resident Evil segment. I think the gameplay with her gun is better. You can shoot people, web them up, electrocute them. It was fun. Like, what the basic fundamentals of trying to improve those segments, no matter if you liked them or not, they succeeded. It's a lot more fun to do, and it's a lot more ingrained to the story details as opposed to MJ being a complete waffle and going into these bases and not having training or not having enough and fucking having no gun and not listening to Spider-Man. It feels like a more situational premise this time around, if you ask me, as opposed to neglecting the advice from your superhero boyfriend, right? If he doesn't care, he's inclined not to care. He's inclined to stand on his own square and let the gameplay speak for itself, and we will judge it accordingly. I had no problem with the MJ segments at all, outside of 2 suspension of disbelief factors. Everything else just makes sense. I didn't hate it. It was fine. We're moving on to the rest of the bookmarks. All right. We got to do this Griffin Gaming thing real quick where he talks about MJ a little bit more, and I think we'll be done for now on that. So here we go. It's, oh my god, this video is terrible. But no, I don't even think it's the MJ part. I think it's the part where he talks about the gun club quips from Spider-Man. So let's let Mr. Griffin Gaming, or the guy who doesn't know how to aim in Resident Evil 4 remake, let him do the talking, and we'll see what points he presents from here.
Forced political themes. I mean, in Spider-Man 2, in the first 30 minutes, you're treated to Spider-Man giving you an anti-gun rant about how he wants to ban all the guns and replace them with compliments, dude.
I think I'm gonna start a petition. Replace all the gun clubs with something better.
That's right, dude. Guns are bad. Guns are bad, guys.
Compliments don't hurt anyone, and they're free. For example, you take a punch really well. Good job. Hey, I think I'm onto something. Less guns, more compliments.
But there are countless examples.
All right. So that is the typical, like, oh, they're taking my Second Amendment away, the right to bear arms. It's arguments like that, and it's like, again, it's not the guns inherently, it's the crazy people wielding the guns who might be possible psychopaths out here, or that one guy that had that one cupcake shattered going around and getting his hands on a lethal weapon. It's an entirely different debate there, you could sort of say, about who should handle a gun, and guns are good for self-defense, right? I understand that, but Spider-Man is a quippy boy, right? I don't think there's anything with hard malice behind it. Spider-Man is a quippy boy, so him saying the goofiest shit in combat about people circulating around a gun club or putting weapons on the street would be in its nature to say, hey, let's replace this with compliments because I'm saying something stupid. I'm quipping in battle while I'm beating these guys halfway into oblivion. You must not. Spider-Man makes light of everything until he doesn't have to. When it comes to his family being fucked with, and he was in that situation, like, let's say, let's use the example of when Spider-Man fucking went after the robber that shot Uncle Ben with the gun. Was Spider-Man quipping then, saying that, oh, this is bad, etc.? No, he wasn't. He was in his feelings, rightfully so, and he was looking at the only guy who took something important away from him, and he wasn't talking, and if he was talking, he was pretty angry, pretty upset, wanting to kill this guy, dangle him out of a window, Was he talking about amendments and all this other shit that you bring up? No, he wasn't, because Spider-Man is a complex character. When he's fucking around with criminals, he fucks around. When he doesn't, he will completely destroy that person, no matter what it takes, even if it's irresponsible, even if it's something where he needs to chill out and not take the vengeful path. Spider-Man being angry is scary. So again, I think this was nothing more than a random irrelevant quip, and you decided to take it and put some politics on it, which again, people do this all the time. I think it was relatively harmless. I didn't get personally offended by it at all, and I know Spider-Man's character, whereas it seems you don't. Then again, Griffin Gaming, this man sucks cock at Resident Evil 4 remake. He sucks cock at aim. Like, how can you even aim a gun in this gameplay footage that you are presenting? Dude. Please stop. Please. No, actually, take up target practice since you're talking about the Second Amendment, because you can't aim worth a damn, all right? That's my take for today, all right? Actually hit a target. Actually hit the broadside of a barn, all right? Next up is, okay, so this guy is sort of complaining and saying that, well, this is the representation of Mary Jane in the entire Spider-Man story when she's scolding Pete for being in her Scream symbiote form. Now, here's the thing, all right? We're gonna play the clip here of what he has a problem with and continue on from here. I think it starts here.
You can't keep a job. You can't pay the mortgage. There's only one job you care about. Spider-Man. What would the city do without Spider-Man? I always come second. I live in your shadow where my dreams turn to dust.
You do make a difference. What you do matters. Remember your book? You said you want to help people.
No.
All right. So we get the gist of what he's trying to do. He's trying to say, oh, she's emasculating Spider-Man, right, in her symbiote form, and this is what Mary Jane actually represents and feels. Okay, so first and foremost, number one, the symbiote is controlling the host and feeding off of their negative emotions. It's clear that she probably does not think this all of the time about Spider-Man. It's just like it's feeding off of their negative, deepest, regretful emotions deep down, and turning that positivity that they have into deep-seated hatred, under control. You see what I said there? Under control. That's what the symbiote does. It made Peter mad, irrational, all this other shit, and it's doing the same to Mary Jane. It did the same to a man, it did the same to a woman. He is sympathetic because he's trying to save her life and trying to calm her down, and using that as a defensive tactic to try to sway the symbiote out of her mind, to try to talk to her. You know those moments in media where someone is mind controlled or influenced, like Resident Evil 5. That's a great example, right? Fucking Resident Evil 5. Jill Valentine is controlled by the device on her chest, pumping the P30 into her bloodstream. Chris Redfield is trying to talk to the character, saying, I know you're in there somewhere. I know you're still good. Please stop. I'm trying to help you. Were we going back and saying that Resident Evil 5 emasculated Chris Redfield because he's trying to save someone that he loves? Of course not. You just lack understanding to the context of the scene and what is actually occurring and what is going on, which is why you're saying a bunch of this erroneous jargon to pad the rent, because that's what people do nowadays. You motherfuckers were getting paid on X for misinformation, and hence why you're probably a journalist, because you need that sweet grifter money. That's another example of people not understanding a scene. So I had no problem with it. Of course he's gonna be sympathetic. That's his fucking wife, dude. If your wife was under mind control of an alien symbiote that was on you initially, and you're trying to reason with her, you're going to be sad for all of this hate she's lashing out. It's not true, because when she turns to normal, she's once again loving, supporting, and sympathetic of Peter Parker's plight. But that's how people twist the narrative. Let's continue onward. This has been quite the ride. Okay, so we're gonna go to a gameplay segment. This guy tried to say, oh, the web swinging was slow, it was bugged. It just sounds like Xbot behavior. We've seen extreme Xbots, we've seen extreme Sony fans, we've seen them on both sides. What this guy is doing, and I like the reader's notes and the context of what he's doing. I actually tried to replicate this, and it's true. So he's doing the cancel web kick, where Spider-Man will go into a combo in midair, and you will basically hold the square button and kick your enemies and continue the combo from there. He's using that to swing around as opposed to R2, and he's trying to cite that as this is a slow, buggy, unpolished experience when he's doing web swinging wrong. That's an attack animation being canceled with the swing that you use with X, and then he's holding square again. It is a nothing burger. It is crazy the lengths people will go to make a game look bad when it's not really part of the problem. It's not really part of the core big issues that's a part of the game. Like, talk about the fact that Venom felt a little bit underutilized in this game. He did. He felt a little bit underutilized. It could have been a little bit more with some of the final sections of the game. This is a good one. You can't buy an NY slice of pizza. You can't go to Coney Island and enjoy the world's famous Nathan's hot dog. You can't ride the subway. You can't go into the deli. You can't hail a cab. The city, for all intents and purposes, is nothing more than a jungle gym for Spider-Man to swing or fly through. Are you trying to play Spider-Man or the fucking Sims? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you trying to play Spider-Man or a real life simulator? A touching grass simulator? What the fuck? Do you go to New York on a trip, my guy? How about that? Go to New York on a trip if you want to experience an NYC slice of pizza, or go to Coney Island and deal with the hot dogs there and the fucking shriveled up shellfish and all that stuff. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I swear people be asking way too much outside of just a simple power fantasy superhero game. This is not like Grand Theft Auto. This is not Red Dead Redemption 2, where you're dealing with those more realistic sort of grounded mechanics where you can eat or micromanage your character and stuff like this. Is Spider-Man. I feel like that would just degrade what Spider-Man is if you're doing way too many remedial tasks. And I know sometimes some side missions, they feature remedial tasks, like tasks that are just inconsequential, but you know, and you remember the big pizza mission in Spider-Man 2 and stuff like that. But he's talking about like going in and experiencing food and eating food and managing that and going on cab rides as Spider-Man, when you don't have to do that. You can fly around the town, swing around the town, no problem, and get through what is arguably a bigger piece of the landscape as opposed to waiting in a taxi cab in New York traffic for fucking hours. Why would a human soul ask for this boring simulated nonsense in a superhero power fantasy game where you could get around the terrain from one point to the next in about at least under a minute? This is the dumbest tweet I've ever seen in the entire chain, especially with the anti-woke crowd. It's like a double combination of sewer shit. Let's see, what else did we miss? People denying bugs. I'm gonna make some of these quick. Okay, bugs exist in the game. It's no contest. People have found bugs. You have to deal with the fact that bugs have been discovered by other people. If you're not getting any bugs, cool. I had games where I didn't get bugs and people were getting bugs, like GTA Trilogy. I got no bugs in the GTA Trilogy, other people did. My condolences. However, it has been documented by others. You can't say their user experience is the same as yours. You just can't do it. 70 hours for a 12-hour mid-story game, copium. I paid money for games that were like either 16 hours long, 15 hours long. The value of $1 for a game is relative to the observer. I think Spider-Man 2 as a full scope sequel that improved on some of the bits that the predecessor had, I think it was worth the money, and I was eagerly anticipating this game as a Spider-Man fan, and I found it worthy of the price of admission. And if you have a problem with the games that I buy and the stuff that I buy, well, you have your own wallet, I have mine. I don't like people that like to quote unquote pocket watch others if they happen to buy a game and then they happen to try to gatekeep them from their own wallet. I find that shit to be stupid, to be honest. Do what you want with your money. It's like, you do you, I'ma do me. If you find it to be mid, then I'm sorry. Play something to your benefit, as opposed to these people where they will complain about other mid games for various videos over and over to milk engagement and not enjoy the games they actually enjoy and appreciate. Some people just do that, and you know, there's a lot of people on YouTube that do that these days. Let's go down the list, because I mean, I'm enjoying Alan Wake 2. I made like fucking several live streams of those. I've been enjoying that. I like to talk about the games I do like on occasion. I'm just saying, fam. I talked about that. Okay, so this one's funny. It's kind of bleeding into Insomniac's X-Men, but someone asked simply, what do they want for a game, for the X-Men game, a Wolverine game, whatever. They said, what did they want for it? And this guy just comes in and says, made by Insomniac, 25-minute obligatory walking mission at Bobby Drake's Iceman gay wedding. Is either that or Kitty Pryde or Magneto talking about the Holocaust. I just find that last comment to be funny. Magneto talking about the Holocaust. It's not like he completely killed a couple of people in X-Men First Class because they were Nazis. It's talking about the Holocaust. It's not like he's a Holocaust Jewish survivor, right? It's not like any of that. It's not like he has the barcode and everything. He showed people that, and he was going on a killing spree. And it's not like that didn't happen. It's not like he has this disdain for humans, right? What in the fucking Christ's name are you talking about with that? Like, okay, and not every game is made equal. Just saying, not every game is made equal. I assume if you take Wolverine's scenario of him mostly being on the run, how is he going to have time to do things with community stuff like that unless they make another full-fledged X-Men centric game? That's nonsense. That makes no sense. I think if there is side missions in the Wolverine game, it's going to be hunting missions, is going to be either maybe these small serene moments with Lady Deathstrike before she turns into that, obviously in Japan. It could be that, or talking to those characters before shit hits the fan. It's not going to be whatever you're describing, because again, those missions where Miles is with his deaf girlfriend, or you play as her and she shows that she has an affinity for BIPOC artists, and people had problems with that. I just think that folks have a problem with people simply existing in the New York landscape, and New York is a very diverse place anyway. So you're gonna see people like that in Harlem, or you're gonna see people who, you know, you just never know. They might have disabilities and invisible disabilities, and you might just never know at times. So people have problems with this side mission, and I really like this comment where this guy just sort of calls it out and says, I don't know how these people even like Spider-Man or even superheroes. Being a superhero is the complete care for others, helping others. For some reason, this mentality is completely contrary to these idiots. Yeah, the game is about Spider-Man. So it goes into detail about these folks saying that because you play as Miles Morales' deaf girlfriend, and they're thinking, oh, they take away the Spider-Man game from me. The game is about Spider-Men. and symbiotes. That's why this is an optional side mission where you don't have to do it if you don't want to take someone to experience their first dance, or if you don't want to do the missions where you're playing as this character. You don't have to do them. And again, I think it's very wholesome with some of the side missions, the Spider-Man walking around and seeing what their loved ones or their spouses are doing, because that's like everyday life to them. People don't understand being Spider-Man is a duality persona. There's Spider-Man and there's Peter Parker. There's Spider-Man and there's Miles Morales. Miles Morales, all about community, all about that Harlem shit. So he's going to be going around dapping people up and saying good job and all that other stuff. It's just what is to be expected with the character and the wholesomeness of it. I don't see a problem with it. And if it is a problem with it, if you feel that way, if you don't like that inclusivity, just don't play the side mission. I don't see the fucking problem. It's like easy problems have easy solutions. I just think that you folks are scared of this result. And really, like I said, there are diverse people in real life. Again, you're still playing the Spider-Man. Like, it's still a good 90% of the game is about Spider-Manning and random crimes, and you can still do all that, no problem. That doesn't diminish or take away the experience as a whole. That's what I'm saying. Let's continue on. Well, is there any more stupid ass comments? There's another one from Griffin, basically summarizing all this horrible padding. Skip Spider-Man until a deep discount. So far, the Sandman fight, and then, there's a fucking lie right down here. The Sandman fight, which is over 20 minutes into your playthrough, is the highlight, with no in-game event coming close to scale or spectacle. So you're telling me that actually playing as Venom was not hype in the game? That people weren't excited? That final boss rush of Craven, Peter and Miles fighting each other, Venom, all of that culminating into a big load of the game was not exciting, and you just go to the first boss encounter that you have as the game starts and you say that's the most exciting moment of all time, and that's it. You're definitely, either you didn't beat the game or you're capping. It's gotta be one or the other. Or maybe it could extend to the fact that those moments did not impress you, but for me, they definitely did, and that's not the only highlight of the game. Or even Carnage showing up at the side mission, the stuff they tease of the world they're building up, or anything that they're doing, or the fact that you get the symbiote so you just beat the shit out of everyone. Like, you're saying that's the only highlight of the game, and the game has no skill or spectacle. You can't shoot worth shit in a survival horror game. I don't want to hear your opinion. Shut up. It's like, that's how I feel about that. Let's continue on. Did we talk about the incel sort of shenanigans with the upskirt looking thing? Well, if we did, I'm not sure, but it's just kind of weird how people are this pressed to photo mode and upskirt on a fictional character in a Spider-Man game and cite it as a problem from Insomniac, and saying that the game was patched, or making all this malarkey up about how they took away their upskirt pantsuit shots, and it wasn't like that before, and there's underwear. It's a rated T game, by the way, so what you're looking for, like full-on pussy, like you're not gonna see that here. Like, all right. What else did we not cover? I think we covered I think we covered a good bulk of it. I think there's just two more things. There's this tweet right here where Peter Ovo, Xbox, extremist, a guy right here, he went into overdrive on this game for Spider-Man 2. I'm talking like he spent a week on the game, just simply, saying Starfield's better, or got media bias, the whole rhetoric. And he deleted this tweet, and he was like, "Oh, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 will make more money than Spider-Man 2. Shut up." It's like, well, no shit, because COD is a big online microed menace compared to Spider-Man. But you see, the last Spider-Man game that made like 33 million. It was 33 million copies sold or whatever. That's still a pretty big unit, pretty big statistic. No matter what, I mean, it probably doesn't match all of the money that COD makes. But I just think that this is sort of your head being encased into ice and the ice shattering as you fall into the ground because your brain has been brittled up into the size of a cashew. And there's no way that, like, of course it's a no shit statement. COD is a big multi-million billion-dollar seller. Recently, and you said this to feel the Xbox versus PlayStation stuff anyway. When Microsoft is sharing Call of Duty with PlayStation for the next 10 years before they could do anything exclusive with it. So they own this baby in joint custody, and you're trying to say it will make more money, even though Sony's gonna make some of that money from Modern Warfare 3 anyway. I don't think you thought that tweet through, man. This is why you're so ignorant and you deleted it. Like, no, this is child's play. Like debunking the stuff is child's play. This is funny too. So here we go. We got this tweet here. And it says, Peter Parker is by far one of the worst iterations of Peter Parker Spider-Man I've ever seen or played as. He cannot do a single thing well on his own. Batman would eat him for breakfast easily. He is by far the most incompetent as Spider-Man as I have ever seen him as. The amount of times he's messed up and had to be saved himself exceeds just counting on one hand. Alright, so this is going into all the emasculated Peter Parker, blah blah blah, shit like that. Oh, he's too tiny. He's not Spider-Man. When has Spider-Man been this overly tough guy? I even say he's been scary in iterations when he's been angry or pissed, but that's justified because once again, vengeful Spider-Man, it makes sense. But when he's like when has he been this whole tough guy persona that's been a damsel in distress when at the end of the game when Spider-Man goes to save the other Spider-Man, Miles, he's going to save him with the symbiote suit while intimidating Kraven's hunters while almost killing Kraven, and you're saying that either he's messed up or he's incompetent or not scary for yelling where at a guard and almost breaking Kraven's neck. If it wasn't for Miles, I think he would have succeeded in killing him. And you say he doesn't get anything done. The suit is influencing Spider-Man, therefore he's going to be irrational in this game, and he's not going to be all the way 100 there with his marbles. At the end of the game, they completely succeeded in their mission of stopping Venom from infecting the city more with symbiotes. I when you talk about incompetence, I don't think that you know what you're talking about. Incompetence is like, you know, not getting anything done whatsoever. And for a hero to have trials and tribulations in the story, they must fall, they must fail. Miles got captured. Peter is rational to his friends. It reflects cause and effect from there, and then there's the final solution. Cool ass anti-venom suit, and they beat the holy shit out of Venom at the end. So that's not incompetence. That's getting the job done and stopping the symbiote threat. So I think we've completely played differing Spider-Man games. Whether Batman Arkham would win in a fight against Spider-Man is just relative to the observers, who probably will pick between skills and pick that apart. But for me, I'm not gonna do a death battle here. That's not the time for that. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to do that. I think that's it. I think I covered almost everything that was in here that was worth a damn, really. Just a generalized stuff that really needed to be paid attention to. It was like, oh, we're so aggressive, we don't care about able-bodied persons, and just people just being general dicks about, you know, a little bit of some love to community stuff that Miles usually does. It's just, and folks say, oh, no skill. There's no skill with the West Wing, even though you can adjust it and fall damage is there, and loop-de-loops can kill you in this game, and Sunset Overdrive is better. So it's just a bunch of nothing burgers, really, with these arguments. A lot of people being willfully ignorant and dumb. There is legitimate issues in this game, like there not being enough venom, like there needing to be base replay, because I want to go back and experience my symbiote powers and beating the game and realizing that, well, because there's no new game plus, I got my symbiote power stripped in free roam. I can't go back and just equip that and put that on. It's just like, okay, what the fuck? And what if I want to do base replay and have my powers? It's like, I don't have those. And I know some gadgets got stripped and reworked and stuff like that to balance out the game. I get that. But there is some bugs that I saw, so they should definitely patch those. And there's a Cuban flag being mixed up with the, I think they put the Cuban flag over the Puerto Rican flag, with Miles's heritage being mostly Puerto Rican. That was an erroneous mistake, even though I kind of give a little bit of leeway there, because I mean, if you invert the colors with the flags, they have like literally the same design, just different colors. So it's kind of like, that's just kind of whatever to me, really. I understand, and Insomniac said they were going to fix that immediately, so that's just like kind of, I'm in the middle. It's like, yeah, they made an error, but you know, the mistake just happened. All hands are, you know, in the art department, and probably someone made an oversight. Oversights happen, mistakes happen, they're gonna fix it. It's not really something to hold someone to the fire to, because they were on top of saying, oh, we're gonna fix that immediately, and therefore it's not really a big issue. So people paying attention to that flag is gonna get fucking edited, patched out, and just fixed accordingly. So it was a funny mistake though, I'm not gonna lie, but still, the design just looks very, very similar to me when I saw both of those side by side. Either way, this is my criticism sucks forever. Your criticism sucks forever on Spider-Man 2. Some things that definitely meshes and make sense, and there are some things where I think people had their brains clinically hammered by monkeys. I think it's the only way to describe what exactly is happening here with some of the weird shit that people come up with on some of these video games. And it's like, I want to leave off on a final note, and this note is from Stan the Man himself, the creator of Spider-Man. And people sort of rant about all this, oh, why are you shoving these inclusive missions, these side missions into the game? And I just want you to listen to what the Spider-Man creator has said, or why is Miles Morales called Spider-Man? It's Miles Morales. He shouldn't be called Spider-Man, because I don't like the fact that there's a black Spider-Man being in this game and getting great stories and shit like that. It's like, all right, some of you people just seem racist to me. I'm not gonna lie. Some of you, it's just border on that fact. But listen to what Stan the Man has to say about Marvel and superheroes. Before you make all these assumptions about X-Men, Wolverine, and how they're gonna handle shit, and now, oh, X-Men, if they did a Wolverine game, is gonna be woke, and all this other stuff. And I want you to know that was like an allegory for civil rights shit. Like, I just want you to listen to what Stan the Man has to say about how he handles these topics and how these heroes should be represented, okay? And you'll understand where I'm getting at after this video.
Hi, heroes. This is Stan Lee coming at you. Want you to know, Marvel has always been and always will be a reflection of the world right outside our window. That world may change and evolve, but the one thing that will never change is the way we tell our stories of heroism. Those stories have room for everyone, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or color of their skin. The only things we don't have room for are hatred, intolerance, and bigotry. That man next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister. And that kid walking by, hey, who knows? He may have the proportionate strength of a spider. We're all part of one big family, the human family, and we all come together in the body of Marvel. And you're part of that family. You're part of the Marvel universe that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory. In other words, Excelsior. Hi.
Damn right.